Konnichiwa, hello, shalom everyone. My name is Gilad Majerowicz. I'm a partner and head of the Japan practice at Herzog, Neeman, Israel's largest law firm. I'm the moderator of this panel that discusses the topic of cybersecurity and mobility. We really have a fantastic panel today, and I wish you all an interesting discussion. So in recent years, we've seen a significant increase in the volume of business activity between Japanese companies and Israeli startups, particularly with respect to investments. My first question is to Elchanan Harel. Mr. Harel, your firm Harel-Hertz has recently issued its annual report for 2021, which made a lot of waves in the media and the Japan-Israel circles. Can you please share with us the main findings of your report?
Well, the first and foremost is a number of investments. The volume of investment from Japan, in spite of the global pandemic and the absence of physical communication, has grown to close to $3 billion, up from $1 billion the year before, which is an enormous increase, contributed by the fact that M&A has also played a major role, and the fact that about 18 Japanese venture capital are present in Israel and have played a major role in the investment. Also, the shift from IT and internet into other sectors of the high tech, and we're speaking about cyber and security today. I can mention that also in the cyber last year, we got about $400 million of investment from Japan in 15 cases, which is a nice number if we take into consideration the overall investment from Japan were 85 cases. The Japanese cyber investment started actually, and I believe Mr. Gertler can tell us more about it, with the visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu in 2014. Since then, the last 6 years, I'm sorry, were very active in this area. And we, all in all, Japanese investment in Israeli cyber are about 900 million, according to our records, and about 120 business settlement, distributor agreement, joint ventures, agencies, IP transfer, and the investment were between Japanese companies and Israelis. The major fact that we must recognize is that all the investments are actually digital investments done over Zoom, thank you Zoom, and done over the internet, because the friendly dialogue that exists between human partners is impossible in the last 2 years. Nevertheless, the trust of the two business communities is overwhelming.
Thank you. And do you think these impressive numbers will continue in 2022 or perhaps even grow? And so this is one question.
It's quite early to state, and as we are in February and Japan is entering now the 2 months of yearly financial planning, we have a better picture, I would say, in spring. I think it's going to be hopefully the same level. 22 is forecasted to be a difficult year. Economically and financially, the market will not be as friendly as they used to be, and it may lead to a moderate growth. I still hope it will be a growth.
Okay, Thank you, Elchanan.
Thank you.
My next question is to Moshe Karako, the CTO of NTT Labs in Israel. Mr. Karako, the topic of our panel is cyber and mobility. Do you think that connected vehicles are more vulnerable to cybersecurity attacks than other connected assets?
Thank you, Gilad. First, connected vehicle can be physically accessed or monitored, for example, when left unattended in the parking lot. Second, the connectivity is done through a public network and therefore can be intercepted and accessed. Third, on many cases, security was not thought through enough or implemented, leaving elements such as exposed telemetric, OTA, over-the-air firmware updates. Software supply chain was not thought enough, control and monitoring mobile apps, such as in the Tesla case, and more.
Okay, I think we will touch this issue a bit later, so we'll come back to you later. My next question is to Kenji Iijima, the general manager at the digital strategy department of Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance, and also the managing director of MSI's Innovation Hub in Israel, also known as Global Digital Hub TLV. Iijima-san, Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance has recently opened its Innovation Hub in Israel following a significant investment in the Israeli cyber automotive startup Upstream Security. We also have Upstream Security's CEO on this panel. Can you please elaborate at a high level why Japanese insurance companies such as MSI is seeking collaboration with an Israeli cyber automotive startup?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So let me starting from the brief introduction about Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance and their operation in Israel. So with Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance, it's a bit lengthy name, so abbreviated as the MSI. We, MSI, belong to the MS&AD Insurance Group Holdings, which is the number 7 largest non-life insurance group in the world, according to the Fortune Global 500. And we have been operating in more than 50 countries as a group. So we think that the continuous innovation in our operation is an essential key factor to survive and develop the company to make us keep contributing to the society. So explore and implement various kinds of cutting-edge solutions and technologies provided by the Israeli startups as open innovation are one of the key factors for realizing our mission. So we have established the Global Digital Hub Tel Aviv, abbreviated as GDHTLB, as a joint lab with the Israeli largest direct insurer, Idea Insurance, to let us smoothly access to the Israeli ecosystem and quickly conduct POCs by utilizing their business environments, data, and capabilities. So which is the significant advantage of us. To realize this operation, we invested to the IDA's parent company, DFI, last year. And now we 6 of Japanese experts located here to conduct innovation activities, including the three of them. I sit down in the Upstream's office as well. And on top of that, we also invested the prominent cyber automotive startup, Upstream Security, last year. So followed by that, let me briefly introduce the collaboration with Upstream. So we think that the automotive or any kinds of mobility tools are one of the most essential factors of the society. So we, insurance company, have contributed to make the world more safety and security by providing the motor insurance and the latest service solutions as an important part of our mission, which is also the largest portfolio of non-life insurance companies such as MSI. So now we are in the midst of a revolutionary great change in the mobility environment, so which has been brought by such as case, and we, insurance company, must innovate our products and services, values to be provided, responding to such a significant change. So connected cars, including autonomous vehicles, are obviously going to be universal and to definitely be a part of social infrastructure. So then mobility security is one of the most important agenda for MSI as well, because our traditional insurance products and services will not be able to fully cover such new risks anymore. So although we have more than 100 years of experience to provide insurance products and services, but to tackle with such issues which have experienced never before. So it is absolutely essential to collaborate with startups equipped with the cutting-edge technologies like Upstream. So our investment Upstream is a commitment to develop solutions together. We believe that the ongoing collaboration with Upstream will let us develop the multiple solutions for next generation telematics and mobility society, and invent new business models by utilizing data analysis for sustainable development. So that's why the cyber automotive startups are one of the most important partners for innovation. That we have to make extra efforts to explore and develop solutions together. So that is our thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iijima-san. My next question is to Dadi Gertler. Mr. Gertler, you are an executive director of technology systems at the Israeli National Cyber Directorate, also known as INCTI. My question to you is this. Cars are becoming more connected, but also more vulnerable to cyber attacks. We also heard that earlier from Mr. Karako from NTT. In the past few years, there were several reported incidents about cyber attacks on cars. How the state of Israel is addressing this threat on a national level? Is there or will there be any technical standard for cyber protection in cars? Or will that be regulated by the market, meaning that each manufacturer will be responsible for ensuring the cyber safety of its own manufactured vehicles? Can you elaborate, please?
Yes, thank you, Gilad, for the question. First of all, Israel is very known for its innovative startup ecosystem, but we don't have any manufacturers, car manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers in Israel. So it all depends on the cooperation with the manufacturers in other countries, in Europe, in Japan, in the United States, and so on and so forth. As mentioned before, the connected cars, definitely autonomous vehicles, are more kind of a global issue to deal with. It's not for a country by country. The UN regulation, the UNR 155, was published, and the Israeli Transportation Ministry of Transportation, who is responsible for all transportation in Israel, very good partners of us, they are intend to accept this regulation by the coming summer, this summer. So that, of course, derive different kind of aspects that we have to deal with. First of all, most of the cyber subjects or challenges, it's not just technology. First of all, it's the people, the skills, the know-how. All the supply chain have to understand better how to deal with cybersecurity and cybersecurity threats. So we are talking about education and awareness of all the relevant supply chain, starting from the manufacturer, which we don't control, to the car agencies, the importers who import cars to Israel for different kind of manufacturers, and they do different kind of implementations and enhancements to the cars in Israel. Definitely talking about technology, entertainment systems, communication systems, and so on and so forth. So as the vehicle coming out of the factory, it's not the same vehicle that is finally the consumers will find here on the streets. So there is a huge challenge here, how to type certificate this kind of vehicles. In some way, it reminds us when we started a few years back to deal with types of certificate for the connected airplanes. Different, totally different world, but here again, we have in the Ministry of Transportation the right authority to deal with civilian aviation, civil aviation. So, and dealing with the manufacturers. The big difference is that in civil aviation, you have just couple of major producers, and in the car industry, you have multiple of them, many of them. So we are talking about education, we are talking about processes, third-party supply chain monitoring and control, methodology. We are talking about innovation. We have formed just last July. We have formed a smart transportation cybersecurity lab together with the Ministry of Transportation. And one of the major roles of this lab is exactly that. On one hand, to flourish the fantastic cyber security startups that we have here, like Upstream, Yoav is here, and there are, of course, some more very good, very innovative cybersecurity Israeli startups for the autonomous vehicles and connected vehicles sphere. So that's in general all the three levels that we are going to tackle down the road. Thank you.
And with that respect, do you have the same approach with respect to public transportation? For instance, trains, buses, even maybe taxis?
Yes, definitely. It's all in our plans. We are starting with the connected cars, but definitely talking about passengers. We're talking about all kind of transportation. It will take time, but we will deal with it as well. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gertler. My next question is to Takahiro Sugimoto. Sugimoto-san, you're the CEO and president of Agsent, a Japanese-listed company that engages in cybersecurity matters. Your company was also one of the first Japanese companies to distribute Israeli cybersecurity products in Japan. Mr. Gertler indicated earlier that Israel has still not adopted any formal regulation related to automotive cybersecurity. I understand that Japan has recently adopted some sort of a new automotive cybersecurity regulation. However, I heard that such regulation is putting a lot of burden on the OEMs and their suppliers. What is your opinion on this situation, and what are some of the approaches to reduce this burden? You're on mute, Mr. Sugimoto.
Sorry. First of all, engineers working in OEMs and suppliers, they are not really sophisticated, security engineers. They are specialized in firmware. Their regulations are requiring high-level security, such as security by design, implementing security functionalities in a firmware from the designing phase. The keys for successful and cost-efficient adoption of cybersecurity regulations are the three most important stages of the life cycle. Number one, simple assessment, easy assessment of software, firmware. They are writing, engineers are writing. Two, seamless integration of security mitigations into the vehicles. Three, reducing the costs of the cyber operations by minimizing false positives. One of the Israeli connected car startups and we've been investing is Kalamba. And their solution is able to achieve those objectives, 3 objectives that I mentioned, with automated tools that scan and analyze the software binaries, issuing cybersecurity compliance reports to suppliers and OEMs. Then it automatically injects a lightweight embedded agent into the binary for runtime software integrity protection, and then cloud-based monitoring. So the keyword, what I've been saying is that engineers working in OEMs or tier 1 suppliers, they don't really need to specialize in security know-how, but by using solution like Kalamba has been providing, it's all automated and providing high-level security by design, then monitoring after the vehicle is in the market. This way, Kalamba can reduce friction with R&D using automatic tools and complement the VSOC information with a very accurate vehicle and ECU level security events, reducing the overall noises and operational costs. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Sugimoto-san. Maybe now my next question will be to Yoav Levy. Mr. Levy, you are the CEO of Upstream Security, a successful Israeli cyber automotive startup. Can you share with us how your company is approaching the issue of cyber automotive, both with respect to private vehicles and public transportation?
Yeah, thank you. So maybe I'll say a few words about Upstream. So in Upstream, we offer cybersecurity and data analytics solution to the car manufacturers. We have an agentless technology, which means that we don't have any agent or software inside the vehicle. It's a complete cloud-based solution. Upstream is well funded by different financial and strategic investors, including Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance, who led our C round, including a group of car manufacturers that includes BMW, Volvo Group, Hyundai Group, and Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi. And a few other investors as well. You can look at Upstream solution as a vehicle detection and response, pretty similar to antiviruses that are endpoint detection and response in the enterprise space. We build the concept and technology to do it for vehicles. And our vision is to make the smart mobility safe and secure for the passengers and drivers. So just referring to your question, so Upstream took like an holistic and a purpose-built approach on solving and helping these car manufacturers to secure their connected vehicles. We believe that a purpose-built approach for this industry is very important, as automotive and mobility is completely different than enterprise security and other areas, and it needs a solution that is tailor-made for the specific threats, because the mobility is pretty complex. There is a supply chain issue between tier 2s, tier 1, and the car manufacturers. There is connectivity, including telematics, over-the-air update, and mobile applications that can actually perform different operation on the car remotely. For example, unlocking the door, start the engine from the mobile app, update the firmware, etc. So Upstream took a different approach than other in-vehicle startups that try to build the solution or build the technology inside the vehicle. We took an approach to build a cloud-based solution that is applied to both public transportation and private cars as well, where our main advantage, I would say, is the fact that once we are deployed in the cloud, we can secure connected vehicles from threats while the cars are on the road today, like for vehicles that are already driving. So this is a big advantage, and we are helping these car manufacturers to both comply with the regulation and also put cybersecurity solution in place.
Thank you. So we talked about attacks on cars, cyber attacks on cars. However, in the not so far futures, really across the corner, cars will collect a lot of data about our entertainment preferences, driving habits, maybe even health information. So another question to you, Mr. Levy, where all of that information be stored? And also, does it mean that my garage now needs to acquire the best cybersecurity solution?
Yeah, it's I think in a connected world where devices are getting more and more connected, vehicles, you know, your garage, your home, everything is connected to the cloud. Privacy is a big concern and a big issue, both to the consumers of the technology and also to the vendors, like, you know, car manufacturers and others. And I think car manufacturers are taking serious actions in order to comply with GDPR and privacy regulation. For example, we as a vendor that provide technology and solution to the car manufacturers, we only deal with anonymized data, like completely anonymized. Only data coming from the vehicle, nothing about driver, VIN number. So we implemented technology that can strip PIIs, personal information from the data, can obfuscate data based on the compliance and regulation in the specific country. So overall, I think people should be concerned and make sure that their suppliers and the vendors that are buying their technology are taking the right approach and the right measures to make sure that their privacy is well kept.
Okay, so let's hear what if there's any government level approach to this issue, Mr. Gertler, how this issue is being approached by the Israeli government, if at all, or is the approach that the market will regulate this issue of data privacy in cars?
Yeah, data privacy is a big issue. It's a big issue. Definitely, as Yoav mentioned, in the coming years, when everything is connected to everything. Data, the government has, we have a sister organization dealing as part of the Ministry of Justice, who is responsible in general for the privacy in Israel. So we are dealing more with cybersecurity, and they are dealing more with privacy. Of course, we have there is an overlap, and we have full cooperation between the two authorities, the two organizations. Dealing with PIIs, of course, is very important, very, very important. And what you have just described is really should be a concern of anybody who is just going to buy a car, a connected car, and should ask these questions. If not, he will receive in advance the full explanation about that from the manufacturers or from the dealers. So the audience today is not aware to the situation. I think the privacy awareness in general in Israel is on the rise, but still is there should be a concern, and we are looking into the subject. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gertler. Mr. Karako, I'm curious, you have a lot of experience in various types of technologies, and NTT is obviously not focusing only on cybersecurity, but also have in Japan a lot of consumer-facing activity. How do you view this issue?
Well, Entity Israel was founded on July 21st under Entity Holdings to strengthen the connection between Israel ecosystem, bringing innovative technology to entity customers worldwide. Entity, I don't know if I need to introduce entity, but it's service provider, managed security service provider to 80% of Fortune 100 companies. And we acknowledge that in Israel, there's a lot of innovative technologies, not only in cybersecurity, but in other connectivity areas. Specifically for connected vehicles and automotives, Entity provides managed security services, consultant services to automotive vendors and tier ones for connected vehicles to meet standards such as UNCE, WP29, ISO 21434, and other. So we're really looking for Israel technologies and innovative technologies to help those tiers ones and vendors achieve a better secured world in that sense. And connected vehicles are part of the holistic view of what we call a zero trust world, when everything is connected in a way that you don't trust any, cyber-wise, of course, you don't trust any of the parties in the supply chains, both on the cloud side, the vehicle side, the endpoint side, the network side, and so on. And you try to build an end-to-end secured connectivity. So this is the way that we try to lead our customer in understanding that zero trust, both in connected vehicles and in networking, might be the main key on securing everything end to end and keep it a safer world.
Thank you, Mr. Karako. Mr. Sugimoto and Mr. Iijima, if you want to comment on those issues of privacy in connected vehicles, or any other thoughts you have, we have a few minutes and you have an opportunity. And perhaps Sugimoto-san, do you want to comment on any of those issues?
Not really anything connecting to internet. Privacy is one of the issues everybody is concerned, including government and the personal level. Connected cars now is one of the mobility tool. However, from here on, it is just like a smartphone. It's a platform for IT device, so that the privacy issue seriously need to consider. It's one of the security elements. The question is, what is the best way to provide the security and good privacy? Security and privacy sometimes is conflicting, and also the utility, use of easy use of the device is also conflicting with security. So the balance is very important. That's my comment.
Thank you, Sugimoto-san. Iijima-san, if you want to comment as well.
If I talk about the regulations, you may know well that the insurance industry itself is the highly regulated industry. So that's why it's very important for us to communicate with the regulators. And on top of that, if we talk about the cybersecurity of the automobiles, then the other regulators or the government organization has been involved. So we as the insurance company, we have to proactively communicate and make a dialogue with such regulators or the government, and to participate, make up the more practical and pragmatic regulations to govern all these kind of issues. So that is a part of our task as well. And so not only for conducting innovation, but also to proactively communicate with the regulators. It's also our important concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Iijima-san. Elchanan, Harel, given your very broad perspective, working with Israeli startups and Japanese companies investing or collaborating with the Israeli startup in cyber security issues, can you share your thoughts about the topics that we discussed, the privacy issue in connected cars and also cyber attacks?
I'm not an expert on connecting cars. I've seen many companies in this field, but other panel members are better equipped than I am. But I want to emphasize another thing, that Japan nowadays is underway of a DX revolution, and whoever opens a Japanese paper on the first page will see numerous articles on the subject. Japanese government are putting a great emphasis on this revolution. And if you ask the Japanese corporates what are the two top items in this, they will mention decarbonization and security. Japan has a major cybersecurity problem. They have some well, I would say difficulties with some neighbors who are specialists in the cyber conflicts, North Korea, China, Russia, and Japan has to defend itself against very, very problematic issues, not only in privacy, but in the sustainability of the business itself.
Okay, thank you, Elchanan. I think we're running out of time. The topic is fascinating, and I'm sure that we could discuss about it in length in some other opportunities. I would like to thank you all for your participation and for your very interesting and fruitful discussion and taking part in this panel. Thank you all. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Thank
now.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.